The battlefield was silent now, but the silence was not peace. Smoke rose into the dark sky, broken ships burned, and the ground was covered with broken stones and broken dreams. In the middle of this destruction, one figure moved slowly. An alien. Mother dragged herself through the ruins. Her skin was pale, her body weak, and her eyes full of fear. She carried something small, wrapped in torn cloth. It was her child, thin, starving, and barely breathing. Every step she took made her legs tremble, but she refused to stop. The child whimpered softly, a sound that cut through the silence like a knife. The mother held him closer, whispering words in her language, words of comfort that she herself no longer believed. Her body had nothing left to give. She had not eaten in days. Her milk was gone. Her people were gone. Her child would die soon unless a miracle happened. And then in the distance, she saw a shadow moving through the smoke. A human. The sight filled her with both hope and terror. Humans had fought against her kind. Humans had destroyed cities, broken armies, and taken planets. But humans also had something her people no longer had: food, medicine, strength. The mother fell to her knees as the human came closer. He was a soldier, dressed in armor scratched by battle, carrying a weapon still warm from the fight. His face was tired hard, but his eyes were sharp and alive. He was a survivor. The alien mother lowered her head, her arms shaking. She pushed her child forward. "Please." Her voice cracked. "Save my child. I cannot feed him." The soldier froze. His hand tightened on his weapon. He looked at her, then at the small bundle in her arms. The child's eyes were half open, glassy, unfocused. His breath was shallow. The soldier's mind screamed at him to walk away. This was the enemy. Helping them could mean death. If his commanders found out, if his squad saw him, they would call him a traitor. But the mother's eyes, they were not the eyes of an enemy. They were the eyes of a parent ready to beg, ready to die only to save her child. The soldier stepped closer, his shadow falling over them. The mother's body trembled, but she did not run. She had no strength left to run. Instead, she pressed the child forward again, almost dropping him into the soldier's arms. "Please," she whispered again. "He will not live. Only you can help." The soldier crouched down. His armor creaked as he bent his knees. Slowly, he lowered his weapon. He looked at the child more closely. Thin arms, bones showing through skin, lips dry, eyes dull. A baby too weak to cry. His heart tightened. He remembered another child, not alien, but human. His sister's boy back, home. He remembered holding that boy in his arms, remembered how small he felt, how fragile. He remembered promising his sister that he would keep their family safe. That was before the war, before everything turned to fire and ashes. The soldier swallowed hard. His voice came out low, almost a growl. "Why me?" The alien mother lifted her head slowly. Her face was covered in dirt and tears. "Because you are human," she said, as if that word itself was hope. "Your kind is strong. My kind, we are finished. But my child, he can live. If you save him." The soldier's chest rose and fell with a heavy breath. The war had taught him that mercy was weakness, that hesitation could kill. Yet here, in front of him, mercy was the only thing keeping this child alive. Behind him, the sound of distant voices echoed. Patrols, other soldiers, searching the ruins. If they found him with an enemy child, they would not listen. They would not care. The soldier stood halfway, torn between two worlds. His orders, his duty, his fear, and this tiny, helpless life begging silently to be saved. The mother's voice broke again, weaker this time, as if it was the last strength inside her. "Please, save him." The soldier's hands trembled. For a long moment, the war around them disappeared. The smoke, the voices, the ruins. Nothing mattered except the choice he had to make. A human soldier, sworn to fight. An alien child, too weak to live, and a mother, willing to give up everything for her child's life. The soldier's fingers moved slowly, reaching toward the child. His heart beat like a drum, louder and louder, as if the whole world waited for his decision. And then, he touched the child's skin. The alien mother let out a breath that was half a sob, half a prayer. The soldier lifted the child, feeling how weightless he was, how close to death. The soldier's jaw tightened. He looked down at the mother, who was now on the ground, her strength gone, her eyes locked with his, shining with desperate hope. For the first time in many years, the soldier felt something he thought he had lost: compassion. But the voices of his comrades were getting closer. The soldier held the child against his chest, his mind racing. If he saved this child, his own life would never be the same. If he walked away, the child would die before the night ended. The soldier looked at the burning sky, at the smoke, at the ruins of war. And he knew his choice would change everything. The soldier stood frozen in the ruins, the alien child in his arms. The child was so light, almost weightless, as if the war had already stolen most of his life. His chest rose and fell in weak breaths, each one slower than the last. The soldier's mind spun. His training screamed, "This is the enemy. Leave him. Report this." But his heart whispered, "This is a child. Just a child." The alien mother lay at his feet, too weak to stand. Her eyes begged without words. She had given her son to him, a human, because she believed humanity still had mercy. That belief now burned inside him like fire. But what if she was wrong? The soldier shifted his grip on the child. His armor felt heavy, his weapon useless in this moment. He was not on the battlefield anymore. He was standing at a crossroads. Behind him, the sound of boots echoed faintly. A patrol. His brothers in arms, his fellow soldiers. If they saw him carrying an alien child, they would not ask questions. They would shoot first, and maybe even shoot him too. He looked at the alien mother again. She whispered something in her language, her voice broken but gentle. He did not understand the words, but he understood the feeling. Hope mixed with fear. She trusted him. She had no choice. The soldier clenched his jaw. Why me? He had fought in this war for years. He had lost friends, seen homes burned, seen bodies left in the dirt. He had buried his emotions long ago, locked them away so the war could not crush him. But now, holding this small alien child, those walls inside him began to crack. He remembered his own family, his sister, her little boy. He remembered how he used to play with him, how the child would laugh when he lifted him into the air. He had promised to come back home to them. But home felt so far away now, like another universe. The patrol's voices grew louder. The soldier's heart pounded. He had seconds to choose. Leave the child, walk away, stay alive. Or protect the child, risk everything and maybe lose his own life. He looked down at the child again. The boy's small fingers twitched weakly as if reaching for something. For him. The soldier muttered under his breath, almost angry at himself. Damn it. He pulled the child closer to his chest. He made his choice. But the choice was only the beginning. He turned quickly, crouching low, and moved deeper into the ruins. Every step was careful, silent. He could not let the patrol see him. The voices were close, too close. The searchlights cut through the smoke, moving like hungry eyes. The soldier pressed himself against a broken wall, the child hidden under his armor. His breath was shallow. One wrong move, one sound, and it would all end here. He listened. Boots, on gravel. A soldier's laugh. Another voice saying, "We'll find them soon." They? The human soldier froze. Were they searching for survivors? Were they searching for this alien mother and child? The thought made his chest tighten. The child was not just another victim. Someone wanted him dead. Maybe he was important. maybe too important. The patrol passed slowly. The human soldier waited, every muscle in his body tense. The alien child coughed weakly against his chest. The soldier held his breath. The patrol stopped. Silence. A searchlight swept across the wall, just a few steps away. Dust filled the air. The soldier pressed tighter into the shadows, praying the light would move on. Seconds felt like hours. Then finally the light moved. The voices faded. The boots grew distant. The soldier let out a long, quiet breath. His hands were shaking. He looked down at the child again. The boy's eyes opened slightly, glowing faintly in the dark. Not human eyes. Alien eyes, full of strange light. The soldier felt a shiver run through him. There was something different about this child. Something more. The mother's words echoed in his memory. Save him. He must live. Why? What made this child so important? The soldier wanted to ask her. But when he glanced back, he saw the mother slumped on the ground where he had left her. She was not moving. He froze, torn again. Should he go back for her? Could he carry them both? His mind argued, but his heart already knew the answer. He could not leave her to die. He crept back quickly, kneeling beside her. Her eyes opened slowly, weak but alive. She looked at him holding her son, and for the first time a faint smile touched her lips. The soldier whispered, "I'll try. I'll save him. But you need to move." She nodded faintly, though her body barely obeyed her. She tried to stand but collapsed again. The soldier cursed under his breath. He could carry the child. He could carry her. But both? Not with patrols everywhere. He looked at the mother, then at the child, then at the dark streets ahead. Every choice cut him open. Every choice felt wrong. The war demanded cruelty, but the mother's eyes demanded compassion. And now, for the first time in years, he felt more human than soldier. The patrol's voices returned, louder this time. The soldier's pulse quickened. He had no more time to think. He lifted the child, tighter against his chest, and with his other arm he grabbed the alien mother, dragging her up. "Come on," he muttered. "If I'm going to hell, I'm taking both of you with me." He staggered into the shadows, carrying both lives, knowing the weight of his choice would follow him forever. But somewhere inside, a small spark lit up. The belief that maybe, just maybe, he was not walking into doom. Maybe he was walking into destiny. The ruins were alive with danger. Searchlights swept across broken walls. Voices of soldiers echoed like thunder in the night. Boots struck against stone and metal. The war was over here, but death still hunted the survivors. The human soldier moved quickly through the rubble, his heart pounding with every step. In his arms, the alien child was light as air, fragile as glass. Behind him, the alien mother stumbled, her body weak, her breath ragged. He pulled her forward with his free hand, half carrying, half dragging her through the darkness. Every sound felt too loud. Every cough, every scrape of boots against gravel might give them away. The soldier's nerves were sharp as knives. He had lived through battles, through firestorms and ambushes, but this was different. He was not just fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for them. A shout rang out in the distance. "Over there! Check the east sector!" The soldier cursed under his breath. The patrol was getting closer. He pulled the mother down into a half-collapsed tunnel, pressing her against the wall. Dust fell from above as they crouched in the shadows. The alien child stirred, his small body trembling. His eyes opened faintly, glowing again with that strange light. The soldier quickly covered the boy's face with his hand. "Quiet," he whispered, though he knew the child could not understand. The patrol's boots grew louder. Light swept across the tunnel's entrance. The soldier held his breath. The mother pressed a hand over her mouth to stop her cough. The child gave a weak whimper that nearly broke the silence. The beam of light froze. The soldier's heart stopped. The patrol soldiers stood outside, their rifles ready, their eyes searching the darkness. One stepped closer, aiming his light into the tunnel. The soldier's finger twitched on his weapon. One wrong move and he would have to shoot. If he shot, the sound would bring more, and then everything would end. The soldier's pulse thundered in his ears. His whole body was ready to fight, but he prayed for silence. Seconds stretched into forever. Then one of the patrol soldiers laughed. Nothing here, just shadows. The light turned away, the boots moved on. The voices faded. The soldier exhaled, slowly, his body shaking from the tension. He looked at the alien mother. Her eyes were wide with fear, but relief shone through them. He whispered, "We have to move. Now." They slipped deeper into the ruins, moving like ghosts. The soldier led them through broken alleys, past burned-out homes, and across streets filled with rubble. He knew the patrols would not give up. They would sweep every sector until nothing was left. The mother stumbled again. Her knees gave out, and she fell to the ground. The soldier stopped, lifting her quickly before the sound of her fall could echo. She was too weak, too close to the edge. He could not slow down, but he could not abandon her. The child let out a faint cry, softer than a whisper but filled with pain. The soldier's chest tightened. He had no food, no medicine. If he did not find shelter soon, the boy would not survive the night. "Come on," he muttered, his voice low but firm. "Stay with me, both of you." He carried the child tighter and put the mother's arm over his shoulder, forcing her to stand. His body ached under the weight, but he pushed forward. His training had taught him endurance, and tonight he needed all of it. Through the ruins, he searched for something, anything, that could give them safety. Then in the distance he saw it, the entrance to an underground passage, an old drainage tunnel, broken and half buried but still open. "Perfect," he whispered. He hurried toward it, his boots crunching over stone. But just as he reached the entrance, a voice shouted behind him, "Stop!" The soldier spun, his weapon rising. A patrol had spotted them. 3 enemy soldiers stood in the street, rifles aimed. Their lights cut through the dark, blinding him. The alien mother gasped, clinging to him. The child whimpered again. The soldier's mind raced. He could shoot, but 3 against 1 was death. He could run, but the mother was too weak. The enemy soldiers shouted again. "Drop the alien, now!" The soldier's grip tightened on his weapon. His breath came fast, his body tense. This was the moment. He had risked everything for them, and now it seemed it would all end in blood. But then the alien child's eyes opened wide. The strange glow inside them grew brighter, shining like starlight in the dark. The enemy soldiers froze. Confusion flashed across their faces. One lowered his rifle slightly. "What is that?" The glow grew stronger, pulsing faintly, as if the child carried something more than life inside him. The soldier felt it too, a strange warmth spreading from the boy's small body, a force he could not explain. The hesitation was enough. The human soldier fired first. 1 enemy fell. The other 2 shouted, but in that instant, he dragged the mother into the drainage tunnel. Bullets struck the walls around them, sparks flying. They stumbled down the tunnel into the darkness. The soldier's breath was ragged, his muscles burning, but he did not stop. Behind him the enemies shouted, but the echoes faded as he pushed, deeper and deeper underground. At last, silence returned. Only the drip of water echoed in the tunnel. The soldier lowered the mother gently against the wall. She was shaking, but alive. The child lay in his arms, the strange glow fading back to a faint flicker. The soldier sat in the darkness, chest heaving, sweat dripping. He had chosen. He had fought. And somehow they were still alive. But he knew this was only the beginning. The enemy would not stop. They had seen the glow. They knew the child was different. And now more than ever, they would hunt him. The soldier looked down at the boy, then at the mother. He whispered, "Whatever you are, whatever this child is, I'll protect him." The tunnel was dark, the future uncertain, but one thing was clear, there was no turning back. The underground tunnel was cold and wet. Water dripped from the ceiling and echoed in the silence. The human soldier pressed his back against the wall, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. The alien mother sat slumped beside him, her body weak while he still held the fragile child in his arms. For a moment he thought they were safe. For a moment he allowed himself to believe the darkness would hide them, but then from above he heard the sound he feared most. Boots. Many boots. Soldiers shouting orders. The echo of metal striking stone. They had been discovered. The soldier cursed under his breath. The patrol must have seen the light from the child's eyes. Now they would never stop. They would not rest until the mother and child were dead. And if he was caught protecting them, he would share the same fate. He looked down at the boy. The glow in the child's eyes was faint now, like a candle almost burned out. Still, the memory of that sudden burst of light haunted him. The enemy had seen it too. That was why they hunted so hard. The soldier turned to the mother. "We need to move. Now." Her lips trembled. I cannot." "You don't have a choice," he snapped, though his voice softened quickly. "If they find us, none of us will survive." She nodded weakly, trying to stand. Her legs shook and she nearly collapsed again. He caught her, pulling her arm over his shoulder. With one hand, he held the child. With the other, he guided her forward. The tunnel stretched ahead, narrow and dark. Every step echoed. Every sound felt like a signal to the enemy above. And then, without warning, the silence shattered. A blast ripped open the tunnel wall, throwing stone and dust into the air. The soldier shielded the child as debris rained down. His ears rang with the explosion. Through the smoke, enemy soldiers poured in, their rifles raised. "Go!" the soldier shouted, pushing the mother forward. He fired back, bullets flashing in the dark. The narrow tunnel amplified the sound, making every shot deafening. 2 enemies fell, but more were coming. Shadows moved in the smoke. Voices shouted orders. The mother stumbled ahead, dragging her weak body forward. The soldier fired again, then grabbed her hand and pulled her into a side passage. The tunnel twisted sharply, splitting into multiple paths. "This way," he whispered. They ran, their footsteps splashing in shallow water. The child whimpered softly, his small body shaking in the soldier's arms. The sound pierced the man's heart. He wanted to promise the boy safety, but the truth was cruel. Safety did not exist here. Behind them, the enemy gave chase. Boots pounded. Flashlights swept through the tunnels. The sound of pursuit grew louder, closer. The soldier pushed harder, his muscles screaming with effort. He led them through twists and turns, deeper underground, hoping to lose the pursuers. But the tunnels seemed endless, like a maze built to trap them. The mother gasped for breath, her body near collapse. I cannot keep up." "Yes, you can," he growled, dragging her forward. "You have to." Then, ahead, he saw faint light, a broken grate leading outside. Hope surged in his chest. "Almost there," he said. But hope was fragile. The moment they reached the exit, shadows appeared above. Enemy soldiers blocked the way out, rifles gleaming in the pale light. The soldier froze, caught between death in front and death behind. The child stirred again. His eyes glowed faintly, brighter than before, as if sensing the danger. The enemy soldiers above hesitated just for a second. That second was enough. The human soldier threw himself sideways, dragging the mother into another passage. Bullets tore through the walls where they had stood seconds earlier. Stone shattered, sparks flew. The chase grew fiercer. The tunnels roared with gunfire, shouts, and pounding boots. The soldier's lungs burned, his legs ached, but he kept running, because stopping meant death. They turned corner after corner until suddenly the ground dropped away. A collapsed section of the tunnel opened into a deep chasm. The soldier skidded to a halt at the edge. Rocks tumbled into the abyss, vanishing into darkness. Behind him, the enemy closed in. The soldier looked at the mother. Her eyes were wide with terror. She held onto him, clutching the child as if she would never let go. He looked at the gap again. Too far to jump with all 3 of them. Too far even for him alone. The enemies were nearly upon them. The soldier's mind raced. No time, no choices, only one chance. He scanned the ceiling. Rusted pipes crossed above the gap, barely holding together. It was a risk, a deadly one. "Hold on tight," he muttered. Without another word, he slung the child close to his chest, wrapped his other arm around the mother, and leapt. The world seemed to freeze. His boots left the ground. The gap yawned below, waiting to swallow them. His hands shot up, grabbing the pipe. Metal groaned under his weight. The mother screamed, clutching him. The child let out a weak cry. For a heartbeat, he thought they would all fall. But the pipe held. With a roar of effort, the soldier swung them across and dropped onto the other side. He staggered, nearly falling, but he kept his grip on both the mother and child. The enemies stopped at the edge, shouting angrily. One fired across, but the bullet missed. The soldier didn't wait. He pulled the mother to her feet and ran deeper into the tunnels. His body shook with exhaustion, but he pushed on. The chase was not over. It was only beginning. But now, in the Igai, dark, carrying two lives that were not his own, the soldier realized something strange. For the first time in years, he felt alive. Not as a soldier, not as a killer, but as a protector. And he knew. He would not stop. Not until the child was safe. The tunnels grew quieter as the soldier led them deeper underground. His legs were heavy, his breath sharp, but he forced himself forward. The mother leaned on him, weak, but still moving. The child was silent now, his glowing eyes half shut, his tiny chest rising and falling with faint breaths. The soldier finally stopped inside a collapsed chamber where the walls closed around them. It was dark, hidden, a place where they could rest for a moment. He lowered the child onto a blanket of dust and rubble, then leaned back against the cold stone, his rifle across his knees. His heart was still racing from the chase. He had faced death before, but tonight was different. Tonight he was not only running from enemies, he was running from the truth of his own choice. Why had he done this? Why risk his life for an alien child? Why not leave them and survive alone? The mother sank down across from him, her body trembling with exhaustion. She looked at her child with eyes full of both fear and love. Her lips moved as she whispered words in her language, soft prayers the soldier could not understand. The silence stretched between them until finally the soldier spoke. Why are they after him? His voice was low, almost accusing. Why risk so much for one child? I saw their faces. They fear him. Why? The mother's eyes lifted slowly, meeting his. She hesitated, her thin hands clutching at her chest. Her voice was faint, but steady. Because he is not ordinary. The soldier narrowed his eyes. Not ordinary? He's just a child. She shook her head weakly. No, he is more. He carries what my people no longer can. He carries our future. The soldier frowned. Future? What are you saying? The mother touched the boy's face gently, her fingers trembling. My people are dying. Our bodies cannot survive this war. The fire, the hunger, the poison in the air, it has broken us. But my child, he is different. He was born with strength no other child has. The light inside him is proof. The soldier remembered the glow, the way it had flared in the boy's eyes, freezing the enemy soldiers in fear. It was no trick of the light, it was real, something powerful. The soldier's voice hardened. So he's some kind of weapon. The mother's eyes widened, pain flashing across her face. No, not a weapon. A hope. He is the last heir of my people's line. In him lives the memory, the power, the gift of my ancestors. If he lives, my people may live again. If he dies, everything dies with him. Her words hung in the air like smoke. The soldier looked at the boy again. Small, fragile. Yet inside him was something great, something that drew death to their every step. Your enemies know this, the soldier muttered. That's why they're chasing you. Yes, the mother whispered. They will kill him before he can grow, before he can change anything. They fear what he may become. The soldier rubbed his face with his hand. He had seen many strange things in the war. Machines that could tear apart cities, weapons that could split mountains. But this? A child carrying the fate of an entire species? It sounded impossible. Yet the glow in the boy's eyes had already told him it was true. The mother's voice broke the silence again. I cannot feed him. My body is empty. I am fading. If he is to live, it must be through you. The soldier froze. Her words struck him like a blade. Through him? He was no father, no caretaker. He was a soldier, trained to kill, not protect. He knew nothing of raising a child, especially not an alien child with a secret power. He shook his head. You're asking too much. The mother crawled closer, her weak hands clutching his arm. Her eyes burned with desperation. No one else will help. Humans are strong. Humans survive. Please, let him live with you. Even if I die here, promise me you will protect him. The soldier felt his chest tighten. He wanted to refuse, to push her away, to say this was not his fight. But when he looked into her eyes, he saw something that broke him. The same look he had seen in his sister's eyes long ago when she handed him her baby to hold for the first time. Trust. Hope. His throat tightened. Before he could answer, the boy stirred again. His eyes opened wider, glowing faintly in the darkness. The soldier felt warmth spread through the air like sunlight touching the cold stone walls. It wasn't just light. It was life itself. The mother whispered, tears falling down her cheeks. You see? He is special. He must not die in the dark. Promise me. Promise me he will live. The soldier's fists clenched. His mind fought, but his heart was already choosing. He leaned forward, his voice low and firm. If I take him, the war will follow me. I'll be hunted. The mother nodded weakly. Yes, but he will live. The soldier closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened them, staring into hers. I promise, he said. The mother let out a breath. Half relief, half sorrow. She leaned back against the wall, her body trembling. A faint smile touched her lips, but the moment of peace did not last. From far down the tunnels, the echo of boots returned. Louder, closer. The enemy had not given up. The soldier grabbed his rifle and lifted the child into his arms again. His promise was fresh in his chest, burning like fire. The mother looked at him one last time. Go, she whispered. Save him, even if I cannot follow. The soldier's jaw tightened. He pulled her up with one arm. No, we move together. And so they rose again, stepping back into the darkness, the enemy's voices growing louder. Behind them, the secret was out. The child was more than life. He was destiny, and destiny was now in human hands. The tunnels shook with every echo of boots. The enemy was no longer far. They were closing in. Their shouts bounced off the stone walls, sharp and cruel. The soldier's pulse quickened as he guided the alien mother and her child through the dark. The child was pressed against his chest, weak but still breathing, his strange eyes glowing faintly. The mother stumbled beside him, her body nearly broken. She leaned heavily on his arm, dragging her feet across the wet floor. The soldier knew they could not go on like this. He could carry the child. He could fight the enemy. But the mother, she was slowing, fading. Every step seemed to drain the last of her life. Finally, in a narrow chamber, she collapsed. Her knees hit the ground, her hands trembling as she reached for her son. The soldier bent down, pulling her up, but she pushed his hands away. Her voice came out weak, like a whisper carried by the wind. No more. I cannot. Yes, you can, the soldier growled, though his voice was rough with worry. We keep moving. Together. She shook her head, her face pale. Her eyes, however, were steady. No, if I stay, you have a chance. If I go with you, we will all be caught. The soldier froze. He hated her words because he knew they were true. Her body was broken. She could not run anymore. Carrying her meant slowing down, and slowing down meant death, for all three of them. But still, his heart rebelled. I gave you my word, I said. We moved together. The mother placed her trembling hand on his arm. Her touch was soft, yet her eyes burned with fierce determination. Your word was to save him. That is all that matters. The child stirred weakly, his glowing eyes opening. The mother smiled through her tears, touching his face gently. My son, you will live, she whispered. Even if I cannot see, you grow. The soldier looked away, his jaw tight. He had seen death before. He had left comrades behind, buried friends in shallow graves, but this was different. This was a choice, a sacrifice freely made. The enemy voices grew louder. Flashlights flickered in the tunnels nearby. They had only moments. The mother pushed the child into the soldier's arms fully. Her voice grew urgent. Take him, go, protect him, promise me again. The soldier's throat tightened. He wanted to argue, to fight fate, but the fire in her eyes left no room. I promise, he said, his voice breaking. The mother gave a faint smile, a mother's smile, tender and proud. Then she pulled herself to her feet, leaning against the tunnel wall. She lifted a broken piece of metal from the ground, a shard sharp enough to fight with. The soldier's eyes widened. What are you doing? Her face hardened. I will stop them. For a moment. Long enough for you to escape. You'll die, he said, his voice rough. Her answer was simple. I will die anyway. Better that I die giving him a chance. Tears burned the soldier's eyes, though he tried to hide them. He wanted to carry her, to drag her, to save her too. But deep inside he knew. She was right. She could not escape. But she could buy time. The enemy voices were almost upon them now. The mother leaned close to her child one last time. She pressed her lips against his forehead, whispering words that trembled with love. My light, my hope, live. The boy let out a soft sound, almost a cry. His eyes glowed brighter for a moment, as if answering her. The soldier turned his face away, unable to watch. His heart felt like it was being torn in two. The mother straightened, her broken body trembling, but her spirit fierce. She faced the tunnel entrance where the enemy would appear. Go, she said, her voice stronger than before. Run. The soldier's grip tightened on the child. His every instinct screamed to stay, to fight beside her. But the weight of his promise pressed heavier than any weapon. He nodded once. A soldier's promise. A human's vow. Then he turned and ran, carrying the boy into the shadows. Behind him, the mother stood tall for the last time. The enemy burst into the chamber. Flashlights cut across the stone. Rifles rose. Voices shouted. The mother gave a cry, not of fear, but of defiance. She swung the shard of metal with the last of her strength, throwing herself against the soldiers. The sound of gunfire ripped through the tunnel. The soldier flinched as the echoes reached him. His steps faltered, his heart aching. He knew what that sound meant. He knew she was gone, but he did not stop. He forced himself forward, gripping the boy tighter. Tears blurred his vision, but his path was clear. The child stirred against his chest, glowing eyes half open. The soldier whispered through clenched teeth, his voice breaking but steady. Your mother gave her life for you, and I swear on her sacrifice I will not fail her. He pressed on, deeper into the tunnels, leaving the gunfire behind. The sacrifice was made. The mother was gone. But her son still lived, and now his fate rested in human hands. The tunnels stretched on like a grave, dark and endless. The soldier's boots splashed through shallow water as he carried the child against his chest. His arms ached, his lungs burned, but he did not slow. Behind him, the echoes of gunfire faded, but the memory of it stayed sharp in his mind. The alien mother was gone. Her sacrifice still rang in his ears, the defiant cry, the the clash of metal, the storm of bullets. She had given her life to buy them a chance. And now, that chance lived only in his arms. The child stirred weakly. His glowing eyes blinked open, shimmering faintly in the dark. The soldier looked down at him, his chest heavy. "Your mother, she fought for you," he whispered. "She gave everything. I won't let it be for nothing." The boy made no answer, only a faint whimper, his tiny fingers curling against the soldier's armor. But that small touch was enough. It lit a fire inside the human's chest. He pressed forward until at last the tunnel ended. A broken grate opened to the outside. The soldier pushed it aside and stepped into the open night. The air was cold and sharp, filled with smoke from distant fires. The ruined city stretched around him, broken towers, shattered streets, the bones of a once living place. The war had killed it, just as it had killed so much else. But in the middle of that silence, a new sound rose. Searchlights buzzing, engines rumbling. The enemy was not done. They were hunting. The soldier crouched low, moving through the rubble. He kept to the shadows, his eyes scanning for patrols. His mind raced. He could not stay here. He needed shelter, somewhere safe for the boy. But nowhere was safe. Not anymore. The child coughed softly, and the soldier pressed him closer. He remembered his sister's child again, the one he had once sworn to protect. He remembered the promise he had made to his family and how war had stolen him away before he could keep it. This time he would not fail. In the distance, voices shouted. Lights swept across the ruins. Soldiers were spreading out, searching. The human ducked behind a collapsed wall. His breath came fast, his heart pounding. He looked at the boy who was watching him with glowing eyes, calm despite the danger. The soldier shook his head, almost laughing bitterly. "You don't even know what you carry, do you?" he whispered. "You're just a child. But because of you, the galaxy is burning." The boy's small hand reached for his face, brushing his chin. The soldier froze. Something strange, almost impossible, moved through him, warmth like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. The fear inside him eased, if only for a moment. He stared at the boy, stunned. This was not just a child. This was something more. Something alive with power, with hope. And hope was the one thing war had stolen from him long ago. The soldier stood tall again, gripping his rifle in one hand and holding the child in the other. His voice was low, steady, a vow spoken to the night. "I don't care who you are or what they fear. You're not dying here, not while I breathe." He moved through the ruins with new strength. Patrols came close. He hid. Searchlights swept. He slipped past. Gunfire cracked in the distance. He pushed on, never stopping. Hours passed. The city stretched on forever. But still he carried the boy. His body screamed with exhaustion, but he did not let go. At last, he reached the edge of the ruins. Beyond lay a wasteland, endless desert under a broken sky. It was no paradise, but it was freedom. The soldier paused, looking back one last time. Smoke rose behind him, the city burning. Somewhere within it lay the body of the mother, her sacrifice, buried in rubble. He whispered to the night his words for her alone. "I kept my promise. He lives." Then he stepped forward, carrying the child into the wasteland. The night was long, and the road ahead uncertain. The enemy would not stop hunting them. The war was not over, but something had changed. One soldier, hardened by war, had chosen compassion over cruelty. One child, fragile but filled with light, carried the hope of a dying people. Together they walked into the unknown. The soldier looked down at the boy, his voice quiet but firm. "Listen to me, little one. You don't know me, but from now on, I'm your shield, I'm your weapon, I'm your home. I'll teach you to survive, to grow strong. And one day, when the time comes, you will show them why they feared you." The boy's glowing eyes blinked, brighter than before. The soldier felt it again, the warmth, the strange power, as if the child believed him. For the first time in years, the soldier allowed himself to smile. Not the smile of victory, not the smile of relief, but the smile of a man who had finally found his purpose again. The war had taken everything from him. But in saving one fragile life, he had taken something back. A promise, a future, a reason to fight. And so the human soldier walked on, carrying the last hope of a fallen people, his vow echoing in the dark wasteland. As long as I breathe, you will live. Humanity will not fail you.